It's 4 o'clock on Wednesday, June 24th, 2026. We are in the council chambers at Washington City Hall for our workshop meeting. Council, I'll let you know that we do not have need to go to closed session. So I will call for a motion to approve the agenda with the remaining item.
Mayor, if you would allow me the privilege to just introduce our summer legal intern somewhere in this concept.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be right now, whenever you like it, but he's attending and I'd like to introduce him to the council.
Yeah, I'll do that. Let me address Councilman Coates' question. We do have a small item, but we didn't feel like it was urgent, and we wanted to piggyback that with another. So if we're still feeling that we need to go to closed session on that, I can let you talk to Thad on that item, then we can take that at the end of the regular meeting. Okay. But there was one item that we just thought we could do it tonight or we do it another time. So that said, I will call for a motion to approve the agenda.
So made, Mayor.
Motion by Councilman Coates, second by Councilman Ivey, second by Councilman Coates. All in favor?
Aye.
The agenda is approved, and if we don't introduce Jax from ASU right now, then we may not get to it later. So Thad, take it away.
Council and Mayor, thank you, Mayor, for the time. I just want to be quick, but also thorough. Jax, come on up. So Jax is a local Barton boy that found his way to Arizona State University Law School. And then he found his way to writing a letter to us and saying, hey, I'm looking for opportunities in Southern Utah when I come home for the summer. And so it's been very nice to have him with us. He's done a lot of work with the prosecution team. Utah has a really cool thing, which is called the student practice rule. It took a little work between our prosecuting team and the law school, but Jax is now authorized to actually represent a case or two, and so we've got plans to give him that opportunity in our justice court. And now that I've introduced him, I'll let him speak to you for a minute, and feel free to ask him what questions you might have. Jax.
Well, he about covered most of it, but yeah, I just finished.
Hold that mic down and speak right into it, prosecutor.
I was just going to say, yeah, you covered about most of it, but yeah, I'm Jax Barton. I'm just finished up my first year down at Arizona State and of law school, and born and raised in St. George, Utah, though. So I haven't fully decided career plans afterward, but I'd love to end up back in Utah. It's where family is. It's where home is. So, but yeah, and they were gracious enough to give me an opportunity to spend the summer with Washington City, and I've been having a great time and getting a lot of great experience. So, yeah, thank you all.
Council, any questions or interaction you'd like to have with Jax?
You know what the Arizona State Sun Devils preseason ranking is in football?
I wish I did.
No idea. So you really have been studying. I had to check. Yeah, they've got a good ranking, but yeah, they're ranked pretty high.
Yeah, we've been having some switch ups at quarterback, I know, but hopefully it's all figured out at this point.
Yeah.
What's your, so your last name is Barton?
Barton, yes.
Okay,
Yes,
who are your parents?
So my mom is Jody Barton. I know that there is a big branch of Bartons in Southern Utah, and there's kind of two. So there's one that I'm not related to, that they do have the last name Barton. My mom is Jody Barton. Her mom, my grandmother, was Kayla Gibb Barton. Okay. And so if anybody knows Gibbs, I'm probably related to them.
Okay.
But yeah, most of my grandfather's actually from Texas. That's where that Barton name comes from. Yeah. And he moved out here where he had my mom and her siblings. So.
Awesome. Sounds good. So welcome.
Thank you.
Yeah, just welcome. I've seen you hanging around, but we haven't really introduced each other. But I'm glad you're here learning from Thad and everyone else. So
thank you so much.
Anything else?
Thank you.
Thanks, Jax. All right. So over the last few months, we've had some of the Downtown Economic Development Committee meeting, and part of that meeting has been to tasked Jason Bright, he's a local architect, with giving us some options on how we might be able to preserve, restore, and put to beneficial use the Main Street Church building or meeting house that the city now owns. And so as a committee, we felt like it was time to bring some of that progress or some of those options to the council. So you'll be seeing this for the first time. And so we'll let Jason present to you, bring you up to speed on everything that the committee's discussed. And then at some point, council will continue the open meeting with a site visit into the meeting house, look at the chapel and the other spaces in there. And that'll give you a little better context. Jason Bright, the mic is yours.
Excellent, thank you. Just get this going here. All right, excellent. So yeah, I'm Jason Bright with Intrinsic Architecture. And so today what we're talking about the Civic Campus, which is really the kind of the two blocks that kind of incorporate this area of downtown. So right now, of course, it has the existing City Hall, the Public Safety Building, the museum, the Heritage Hall, Veterans Park, which is considered part of it, and then, of course, the chapel as well, talking through there. So the catalyst for this was really the chapel. Obviously, when the city purchased that asset, the questions became, how do we begin to use it? And so today what I'm going to do is I'm going to show you kind of two options that we've kind of been talking about. Each one of the options kind of has 4 components. So component number 1 is the chapel and different ways that we can repurpose it. And component number 2, which kind of spilled out of obviously the chapel, was this recognition that there was a parking deficit overall on the Civic campus, and how do we approach that in terms of parking garages, and how can that potentially work. Component 3, again, cascades out of components 1 and 2, which is the existing City Hall. As things begin to move out of here, functionality, how can this building kind of get repurposed potentially? That one we've only talked about, we don't have any drawings yet, but we can kind of talk through that. And then component 4 is the actual Veterans Park, and trying to understand that kind of holistic kind of master plan of Veterans Park and how these new buildings and new construction can all kind of relate to that as well. Veterans Park is more like just an exploration, trying to understand it. It's not really a design at this point, but we do have that information that we can kind of walk through as well. So option 1, let me zoom right in here. You can see. So we began to, a few months back, what I did is we went through an analysis of the building, basically trying to understand, how much life is left in the building. So every building essentially has, every component of the building has different life expectancy. So structure and foundations are designed to last the longest, technology is usually the shortest. For the chapel building, as we know right now, for the most part, almost everything is kind of near the end of its life, with exception of the structure. The structure is pretty good, concrete block, the wood beams and stuff like that. So, but beyond that, the plumbing, mechanical, electrical systems, most of the envelope, most of all that stuff has reached the end of its life kind of through there. So we understood, kind of the life that existed in the building kind of through there. And so then this idea was, well, okay, now that we understand kind of the building, how do we begin to reapply, or how do we begin to refunction it to use for the city? And so option number 1 here, let me just zoom through. I might bounce around a little bit, was an idea of saying, well, the existing chapel itself over there is actually quite a nice space. It's quite a large space, beautiful big trusses, and some windows on the side. And the original thinking, I believe, of the mayor and others was to actually move the council chambers over there and kind of repurpose that space to use the kind of true historic portion of it as a council chambers. And then the rest of it, kind of the brick portions that were all added over time around the outside, seeing if there was any uses for those as well. So we call this particular option the Event Center option. We just didn't have a better name for it. We call it the Event Center. But the idea being essentially that we would remove most of the building, one-story portion of the building that faces the park, and then try and, as we can kind of see here, basically try and really open this building up to the park to create this kind of public amenity. So council chambers became one part of the component, and the other was this idea of taking the gymnasium and a few others and creating some meeting rooms through there, and having a space that could really kind of activate and out into the park here as well. Here, I'll show you the floor plan. So the existing building, let me just change the pen color here. So yeah, the existing building, basically we removed what was basically a whole pile of building area over here, kind of through there, and then, oops. Oh. Sorry, I lost my little command areas through there. Can't seem to undo it. So, yeah, so the idea was that this area here on the right becomes the council chambers. It's much larger than the existing council chambers. There would be a new kind of breakout room kind of up here. You can see can't really see it a little bit. On the top right, there'd be a breakout room up in that area.
Can I ask a question as we go, Mayor?
Sure.
So the breakout room, is that the old Relief Society room? We're just gonna kind of hang on to that, or is that new construction? I can't remember what.
This particular option is new construction.
Okay.
Option number 2 that we'll be showing you here shortly, it flips over to the other side and stays within the existing building. But this one here, now I can show you here, now I got this right. So this area through here is new construction. It's a little like jewel box that we'll see that we kind of add to the exterior kind of through there. So yeah, so this is basically the extent of the old historic building right here, as well as a little bit in the front, this wall here. And then there actually is the tower elements as well. Those 3 items are all the old stone that we kind of worked through. So we're trying to preserve that and kind of repurpose that. And then during the rest, this is the gymnasium portion kind of through here. So the gymnasium portion, basically convert that into like an event center, make this really great glass wall that opens out onto the park, a lot of transparency kind of through here. And then keep the stage as well kind of through that space. And then for the most part, these kind of lower areas that you see around here are being repurposed for bathrooms, meeting rooms, some offices, and a catering kitchen kind of through there. So really there's no administration space in here. This is designed again as the council chambers and then as an event space in this particular option.
I think that's one of the bigger limitations that we recognized, right, with this option is just that our existing city hall is completely full, not another space in here, and so that was one of the things that we recognized as we went through this, just to point that out.
Could you blow that up a little bit, Jason? Okay. So basically, we're not adding any administrative space with this option. It's just basically a council chamber, kind of gathering area, preserving the old gym, or the old church gym and stage and so forth, and then turning the existing west and north side of what's over there right now into bathrooms, some storage areas, and a kitchen / conference room, right? Kind
Yes,
of thing.
yeah.
Okay.
Jeremy, can you explain what you're saying? So that was like you're saying that was this is the downside of option 1, is not having space to expand the need for more offices, because we already right now that we're in that position where we need more space.
Exactly. So originally when we bought the chapel, we thought maybe we could convert it into more staff offices or as the city expands, and it's like Jason said, one of the tricky parts is it's reached the end of its useful life in a lot of areas, and so trying to turn what used to be an old chapel that's at the end of its useful life into offices didn't feel like a real feasible option. We could still keep some event space, but we have event space as well with Heritage Hall and other things. So I think Jason's just kind of walking you through some of our thought processes we went through this as a committee.
Yeah, because I'm thinking we already have an event space at Heritage Hall, so so far I'm not really liking the idea of having another event space that we're going to spend money on.
And when we get to option 2, that one, we remove that portion with the event space. So, yeah. And we do recognize that in option 1, this is component 1 of option 1, we do introduce administration in component 2 of option 1 as well, which we'll show here, the parking garage as well. So we did create some admin space as well. So yeah, so we went through there and then we did.
And I think just in terms of keeping the verbiage consistent, so the entire floor plan there, we would refer to the entire building, or what it was a church meeting house. And part of that meeting house in that meeting house, there is a chapel portion. So the entire building would be referred to as a meeting house, or at least historically would be. But within that meeting house is the chapel, and that's that real historic with the brick and with the beams and the high ceilings. So just to kind of clarify, because I know what's coming with option 2. I think with either options, the chapel the historic chapel with the woodwork, with the stonework, would be retained. So the question I think that we grapple with is what to do with the rest of the footprint and how to put that to best use. And that's really where council, your judgment and deliberation and decision comes in.
Okay. So that's a little problematic here. So, yes.
Do you have you're going to show the elevations too from option 1, what that might look like?
Yes, I can. Yeah, I'm sorry. Just, computer's not cooperating here with me.
And while you're pulling that up, I think that's part of,
Yes.
I had mentioned when I introduced this item is that part of it is preservation, restoration, and putting to practical beneficial use. But I think, when we look at this church meeting house, this building, it was a bit of what I've called a patchwork quilt. So I think the most historic is certainly the chapel and that stonework. But aside from that, there have been actually prior iterations and then post-chapel additions around with very low ceilings.
So I haven't seen option 2, but like my concern is it still looks like a church. And we're looking to build a city hall, not a church. And I know there's aspects that are beautiful inside, and I'm not saying we shouldn't look at them, but my concern with this option is it still just looks like a meeting house that we need to retrofit into a city hall, not a meeting house. Because they're just different in my mind, and there was talks about tearing the whole thing down at one point too, if it, as if it made sense. Just these are all just things being thrown out for ideas. Doesn't mean we're set on either one. Now, I just asked the mayor, and maybe Jeremy, you remember, part of our agreement we had to keep some stuff. What was it that we had to keep? Do you remember? I just don't remember.
Yeah, we had an agreement originally with the church when we purchased it that we would keep at least the chapel portion.
Okay.
And we could certainly go back and ask them to, part of that was we could
and
get
I'm not
permission to do
proposing
something
we do
different, but
that.
that was what we committed to, was to keep that chapel portion.
When I mean it looks like a church is like the chapel portion, the chapels look like city halls, right? Like the center, like that's fine. I'm just saying the exterior doesn't.
It'd be like the right third of this building in this.
Then I think the other thing, just to jump in, I know we committed to keep the bell. One of the questions is, did we commit to keep the steeple?
That was not part of the agreement. We have to do something with the bell, but we didn't have to keep the steeple. And then we have to do something with the Daughters of Utah Pioneer
monument.
Okay.
But it can also be relocated if we find a suitable spot that works for them.
Okay.
I just don't want to be.
Are you calling the bell tower the steeple?
I don't,
Yeah,
for lack of a
the
better
bell
term,
tower.
bell tower.
The bell itself has to be preserved, but not necessarily the tower that it sits in.
And I think we could incorporate, like, say we decide to do something totally different, we could keep the bell and incorporate it, but does it have to be the one that's there today? Is kind of my
It
question.
doesn't. The contract said that we maintain the bell, the chapel, and the monument.
The bell, the chapel.
The monument that Jeremy mentioned.
And option 2, which I do have some drawings of, does show a whole new building with keeping the chapel portion as well. So, work our way up here. So from the component 1, we jumped over to component 2, which was saying, if we looked at a parking garage, what would that look like? How many parking stalls would we get? Where would we fit it onto the site? And we kind of played through some options on that. So this particular option we're looking at right now shows a 3-story parking garage structure. This is all above grade, precast concrete, no ventilation requirement kind of through there. Possibly some solar panels on the roof as well. Very cost effective in terms of the type of double T structure that would be used for it as well. And so we began to locate that basically on the north side of the property here, which we'll see in a second. And as we began to do that, we recognized that there was about a 35-foot wide space in the front between the building itself and the street that wasn't being very well used. And so we thought to ourselves, well, there's no administration office space in this particular option. We knew we needed some more. So we thought was, well, what if we put basically kind of wrap the parking garage in an administration building in an office building through there. And that's a pretty common way in most urban environments to kind of mitigate the negative effects of parking garages. They're not very desirable to look at. And so we played with this idea of basically 3 stories of parking kind of behind it, and then a 2-story kind of office building kind of running along Main Street here at the front here as well. And
Did you
then
mention how many spaces? I'm sorry, I may not have heard that.
parking spaces? It would be around 275.
Okay,
And the thinking that would be divided between 3 uses. The bulk of it would be public parking, kind of open 24 hours, and they would have their own entry point. There would be a secure area for the city fleet vehicles that would be kind of cordoned off, and then there would also be a way for the police to actually access it, and they could have a secondary secure area within for their own secure as well.
And with this location, the PD would have access directly from the police station. So that was a little bit dual purpose there.
Yeah.
So-
There'd be 3 separate vehicle access points that we can put into this as well. So one for the public, one for the city, and one for the police.
So are you estimating these stall, like traditionally, parking garages are about $30,000 a stall? Is that what you're anticipating in cost here?
I'd have to take a look through it again. I think we were looking at, it depends on it. We could do it better because, again, there's no mechanical ventilation, nothing below grade, so there's no excavation, no shoring requirements. Again, the roof portion, the shaded portion that's on the top floor, that's optional as well, kind of through there. And then again, this would be a precast double T system, which is really efficient. So, yeah, I'd have to say probably you can do a little better than that. The only concern would be that most of the concrete companies that could do this work are probably up north, and so they'd have to be shipping all the precast pieces down here. But yeah, I think we could probably do a little better than 30,000. And it depends if we build the administration side as well, because in this particular option, we get around, it's about 13,000 square feet total, around 9 to 10,000 square feet of usable administration on the front of this building. And we get to share the stairs and the elevators and those kinds of things between the 2 functions as well. So there's some cost effectiveness there.
So where does the slide go?
Slide, exactly. I don't know. You guys want to spend 400,000 on a slide?
I'm just putting out options. I'm just putting options out.
Yeah.
Where the slide goes and the pickleball courts.
The pickleball courts on the roof.
Yeah, we've talked about those. So.
That's what he said.
So, one option on this as well is that the nice thing about if we do a precast system, we can also design it for future expansion, additional level floors on top as well. So if we design that in now, the foundations, everything, another 10, 20 years, they can come add another floor as
So
well.
what's the height of this? Approximately 40-ish feet?
So we're 11 feet floor to floor plus that. So we're looking at 33 feet on the, well, actually a little less, probably about 31 feet on the parking garage side. The administration is 14 feet floor to floor, so it's 28 plus parapets, so it's coming up around 32 feet or so overall.
So it's under our 35 limit, which that's one thing I would want with it next to those residences, keep underneath our residential height code.
As it's designed right now, it does check the box for the code that's in, yeah. So, it was brought up to our attention though last week, Councilman Belliston brought it up to us, he's like, the problem with this office space like this, and you'll see when we get the renderings, it looks great, it really helps a lot of it, but it's not particularly functional. It's a very long, skinny space, it means a lot of long corridors, and so it's not necessarily most effective in terms of the efficiency of the floor plates as well. But, let me show you the renderings. So we had some fun already. We were just kind of, these aren't meant to be anything. Some of them were a little wilder, some a little more conservative as well. But we took it and I kind of took it and kind of applied some aesthetics that could theoretically work. Some more contemporary. We look at some more historical as well. But the idea being is when you see this administration building kind of running along the street, along Main Street, you don't really experience that there's a parking garage behind it, which you kind of see kind of around the side, kind of through there. So, like I said, that administration building kind of nicely hides it. So. Here are a couple other color options. We played with one there. It says what happens if we recreated the aesthetic that's already been established with the City Hall and the police public safety building there as well. So we played with a few. We even tossed around the idea that maybe there would be a possible 3rd floor, if you can see in this top option right here, on the administration side as well. Something smaller, kind of set back. Again, it could be city offices, city amenity space for the staff as well, those kinds of things. So
Thad recognizes that style. It's the J. Reuben Clark Law School style of architecture. Yeah.
And so, yeah, so these are components 1 and 2 of option 1 as we work through those. And again, then the cascade over into component 3, which is this building, which is, if you end up moving the council chambers into either of these options, how does it get repurposed here? I think there's been some discussions about the courtroom potentially moving down here, maybe renovating upstairs, putting some more administration spaces up there as well. So there's some of those as well. The very clear option, though, from here for option 1 is that it's not a new city hall. These are basically smaller annex buildings that is kind of becoming part of the holistic campus. Option 2, which I'm about to get into, you're going to see addresses a lot of your concerns and really begins to kind of have a bigger gesture to it as well. So, all right. And actually, technically, nobody's seen these drawings as I just finished them up this morning. So, again, the architecture, the aesthetics here are just designed to, like I said, they're kind of quick and dirty. This is still kind of a feasibility testing as well. But what this does now, this is now option 2, and we can see that things have kind of shifted around. We have maintained right down in here the actual old portion of the chapel, kind of through there. That can either be a fully standalone building with maybe like a little breezeway between that and what will be the new administration building, or new city hall. This is the new city hall right there. On that one. And then, of course, the parking garage is now actually, rather than being pushed all the way to the north up against the residential, it's slid back down. It's kind of behind City Hall, the existing City Hall, into the north of what would be essentially the new City Hall. So there's a lot of pieces to this one here that changed from the last one. The first one being, of course, is the new City Hall building. On the one hand, it's really great. Now it's going to face Main Street. It kind of deals with one of the challenges of this existing building is this one faces, of course, a residential street. Now it's going to really help kind of put some presence on Main Street, which is going to be great. As we start getting into the more holistic downtown revisioning, obviously having a building of this prominence, being not only on Main Street, but being so close to kind of the major intersection at Main and Telegraph, I think is going to be really great. And then from that, of course, we can kind of just realize that you can begin to take a lot of the functions that the city currently has, and we can begin to consolidate them into one kind of larger building kind of through there as well.
Jason, can I ask you something?
Yep.
I know one of the options we talked about was to, instead of moving the parking garage clear down there, to keep it up north a little bit and to have a courtyard in between the parking garage and
That's like a hybrid of
structure.
version 1 and 2. Yeah, we take like the parking garage with even potentially with or without the administration on option 1, and then still create the new on this one. Yeah, so it could be a theory option 3 that's a hybrid like the 2 as well. So the one catch, of course, with this one we can tell is that the parking garage, just kind of the way that the depth works, there's not the extra space at the front to put administration. So right now the parking garage is fully exposed to the street, which isn't aesthetically the most ideal thing. Obviously, we'd still mitigate it with screens and vegetation and make it look nice, but it doesn't do anything to activate the pedestrian realm down there as well. So looking here from the kind of the northeast down there as well. The massing, so to give you an idea of the scale of this City Hall building here, this is 33,000 square feet. To put that in perspective, that's about double the size of this building in terms of square footage. So there's a good chance that this is much bigger than what you guys need. We're still haven't kind of figured out the exact right sizing right through here. So maybe we pull it down, maybe it's only 2 stories, maybe it's a smaller footprint. We have a lot of flexibility in terms of that. I just tried to kind of mass it up, kind of see kind of how a big building would kind of fit on this site as well. So. So in this particular design as well, like I said, we do maintain the bell tower itself. We maintain the chapel, all the stone around there. And one thing that does change is, unlike the previous option where the breakout room for the council was actually in the back, this one actually repurposes this front area of the building kind of through here and expands it out and allows that to be the council breakout room as well. So basically, and it could really, as we kind of look at this thing, be truly 3 separate buildings and 3 separate projects. The council chambers can really be an entity unto itself. We can kind of maintain that tower, and then we can kind of pull the the actual city hall portion back, which actually helps a lot because when it comes to doing all the construction and foundation work and those kinds of things, it helps to be separated. The city hall probably wants to be steel, and then of course the parking garage wants to be kind of a precast concrete. So all these are structurally different, and they can all kind of function a little bit independently of each other if we kind of separate them out and see a little more as a campus. So. And then let me show you, bring you down here and show you some of the renderings. So just kind of, again, kind of playing with renderings and different kind of feelings and ideas as well kind of through there. These are very kind of quick conceptual ways kind of approaching how do we have this more kind of historic building, and then what can we put beside it? Do we want something more kind of brick kind of fitting with this? Do we want to go a little more kind of elegant? Again, this is just showing 3 stories. Again, it could be 2 stories kind of through there as well. And then, you know, from the park side as well, I mean, there's a great opportunities to really integrate with the park. So do we put some, you know, some balcony areas higher up? The staff can have their outdoor lunch areas and those kinds of things looking down through there. And then, of course, the main floor, we imagine that being very highly public space as well. Really the secure area probably being more on the 2nd and 3rd floor. So a lot of the general public can kind of pass through that main floor and have access to all the city functions that they would need to as well. So.
Can you scroll back up? That first option.
Yeah.
In looking at that, are we within the setbacks if we were to jog that forward towards Main Street?
In this particular layout, no. That's one thing we have talked about, we would like to address is right now, most of the land uses that we have that are all downtown all have these more kind of suburban setback requirements of 10, 15 feet. And that's not really ideal for what we're trying to do as we begin to look at the holistic master plan of downtown. We want these buildings to be closer to the street so that as people are walking by, they're looking over into shops and those kinds of things. It's more animated. So it's possible, we may have to look at some form of special zoning through this that allows these buildings to kind of get out to the street and really forces them to kind of activate. It's not just in terms of bringing the building out, but then how much percentage of glass do they have through there, what kind of active spaces are behind it. These are really common ways to really create those kind of vibrant street environments as well. So this one definitely shows the building, yes, closer to the street as well.
Is that what you want to look at, Councilman, or a different?
Yeah, just, out of the options, that top one kind of fits kind of the other buildings a little bit. So I just was kind of interested.
Can you zoom in on the top one a little bit?
Sorry.
We didn't give Jason a ton of time to do lots of,
Well, Nick, none of these people and no one's even seen these drawings, so I came up with them last
but
week.
it gives you an idea of what it might feel like and look at.
Yeah, and these are, I think you did a great job giving different options of materials and stuff that you can do. I don't know if you want some of our feedback now or you want us to wait to the end. What do you want, Mayor?
I would love this is an open discussion. We're kind of even the committee is seeing this option 2 for the first time. I'd love your feedback now and input. And then we're going to walk over and stand in the chapel and in the building and kind of fill it and get more feedback there too. So any discussion you want to have here is great. And then we'll continue the meeting over there when we're ready.
Mayor, could I just share just some brief thoughts?
Go ahead.
Just I appreciate the work that's been done. The committee has done a great job in presenting, but there's 3 things that I keep thinking about when we talk about the downtown, or about our Veterans Park area. And I know we can't bring back the Mother's Lounge, but other than that, for us that remember that was really unique. It was the only chapel around. But the 3 items that are important to me is we need the historic chapel preserved, and every one of your renderings shows that. The sandstone, the brick, the beams, those are so important to those residents that grew up here.
Those are the inside things.
Yeah,
right?
they're
we
on inside.
We don't need to save any of the outside stuff, just the inside.
I think the inside and the rock where it comes to the outside.
There might be a little bit of that stonework on the outside
Well,
on the chapel side.
One of the comments I have is, I don't know, look, Councilman.
It's all on the table though.
Yeah, I'm just saying that the historic significance of the chapel part is important. Then I was thinking, this needs to be a functional building for, I think, probably 20 years is kind of the standard. We don't want to build it too small, we don't want to build it too big, because, and that brings me to my third point, that we need to build it in the most cost-effective way. Washington has always done things our own way. We found a way to utilize taxpayers' money as well or better than any community in the country, as far as I'm concerned. And I think that when we look at these and we measure it out with what the costs are, the benefits, but those three things are and I haven't said anything about this because it hadn't come forward, but Mayor, I like what I've seen so far, and those are just three of my thoughts at this point.
Thank you.
Yeah, I appreciate those comments. I agree on the chapel. I want to all that, but one of the things that on option 2, I know you were just showing options of the parking garage. I liked having, and you'd have to tell me, I mean, that critical to have the parking garage right next to City Hall? I kind of liked that maybe there was that open corridor, a bigger open corridor, even if it's our whole back parking lot, that we retrofit to something else that's not a parking lot, but we have the kind of the option 1 parking garage with some things up front, and then have more of a corridor space that's maybe a gathering place of some kind in the middle, and then you have the new chapel on the other side, and maybe you don't go as big with the City Hall because you have the other space as part of the parking garage, because I really don't like the parking garage being, like seeing it on Main Street.
Yeah.
Like we'd have to do some kind of, but if it was open like that, but then you did some stuff there, but I also have questions on, with the option 2, how far does that go into the park space? Like, we're not into the park space, are we?
Yeah, I can show you that.
Because I don't want to get into Veterans Park.
Yeah. So in terms of this, I think that's a great idea, and is the idea that this could be something different, really an event. People drive by, it still has some parking, but have something that really kind of allows the buildings all to kind of flow together and connect, and kind of pulls it together. So I think you're right, again, a hybrid option, that this parking could be through there. And again, we don't have to necessarily do the administration building option. You probably wouldn't want to when you build a new building down here, right? You wouldn't want that. So yeah, I agree. I think that'd be a great option to explore. And then in terms of the projection into the parking, it does right now, but again, it all depends on how big of a building we're going to build. And that's something we just haven't had a lot of discussions on so far. So.
And while you're looking that up, I mean, you probably don't know now, but these all look like way more than we can afford. So, I mean, I'll have to lean on Jeremy to work on through as we work through this process of how we're paying for all this if we're going down this road. Because the parking garage.
Jeremy, yeah. How are we going to pay for it all?
Couch cushions.
Well, our couch cushions have been milked pretty hard lately, so I mean, it's something we need to talk about, and how are we paying for it? Because it is something we need to think about as we go through this process. We are out of room, so I'm acknowledging that.
And to your point, I think this building's about 30 years old now.
Yeah, and it's done well. I just don't want to, but I also am in the frame of mind of I don't want to spend money to waste money on the chapel, like to fix it to be a 10-year fix, right? Like if we're going to spend money, let's do it right and get it right, but we have to think of costs and everything and how that works.
There may have to be some phasing. I mean, we're looking at a big project. It may have to be cut into some chunks as well, so.
For sure. I'm glad you brought that up. So, and as you're showing that, the other comment I have is on the phase 2 option, how it kind of feels like the chapel's kind of on its own but connected. I would like to see more integration, so it kind of looks like it's one building and not, hey, here's the old chapel and here's the new building. And I don't know, that. And the only one that I really liked was that first, and maybe it was the materials, right? First, yeah. I felt like that integrated it really well, but I wasn't, just because of the way the materials were. Like, I know it's all the same layout, but the materials really mattered to incorporate it so it looked like
the style.
One cohesive building instead of here's one building and we added on to it. That's what I don't want to happen. So I don't know if you do some other stuff. And this was option, the bell tower doesn't look like it's an old church steeple either.
Well, and if you consider the buildings that are surrounding it, to me, like, we have a lot of the buildings that are historic in nature, and then a lot of these renderings look very modern to me. And so is that a consideration that we should consider, the Heritage Hall and this building, to try to blend it all in together too. But I appreciate what's been said already about the cost and, thinking about the needs, and that would be one of my biggest concerns is the thinking about the money for this. And how we
And
would,
what's our plan with this building
yeah.
when we leave, and the cost it takes to get that building to what we need?
So a lot of it depends on where we end up and which options we choose and how much space. If we chose option one, for instance, then that would help us for a little while because we would get some more, like you called it, another annex building. So potentially we could move some of our staff over there, which would loosen up some area here. If we were to build the option two, it would create a lot of new space. And then this building would probably end up being the court, more the court. If you've ever been in here on Thursday, you can see how busy the court's getting, and people are lined up in the hallways upstairs, and it's really running out of space. And then someday we may move our annex building over from across the street as we design more downtown, and then those staff would also need to come to a building, either one of the two. So you're right, it will cost some money, and certainly has to be a thought, but we need to figure out what the next 20 years, I think that's been the good comment that's been made, 20 to 30 years, and what does that look like? Because
And we're not giving up this building, we're just, if the council chooses to move forward, if we collectively choose to move forward, then we just change the use.
So if you're looking at a 30-year plan, you can bond for it and spread that out over 30 years worth of use as well, which helps with the cost of the building. So.
Mayor, I was going to say, one of the many, many tidbits of wisdom from our city manager that I've taken in over the years is some buildings are historic and some buildings are just old, right?
That's a Jeremyism.
That's a Jeremyism that's got a lot of wisdom in it. The chapel over there, the chapel is beautiful. It's historic, it's beautiful, the craftsmanship is amazing. That is so worth saving. And an appropriate and wonderful use. It even looks more beautiful now that the pews are gone, because you really get to walk in there and look at it, and it's just an amazing building. And I think a really a good use for that would be, as the council chambers. It would be pay respect to the beautiful and historic building that it is. But as we've, especially as we're now looking at that as just a building, you kind of go out beyond the chapel into some of the other additions that were done. And it starts getting into just an old construction. It's made out of cinder block. It's not beautiful and historic,
Low ceilings.
Low ceilings, you can touch the ceilings. The chapel part of it, the original part of the old chapel and church building is worth saving. It's worth investing some money in. The other part of it, I'm not sure, because it would be expensive construction to move all the plumbing and mechanical and everything, over there. It's kind of like throwing good money after bad, like sometimes in my business some buildings are worth putting a bunch of money into, some buildings aren't, and the one part of the building is so beautiful and so historic, it's worth it. We wouldn't want to do anything else other than, pay respect to that building by using it, by making it the most important part of the city, which is our city council chambers. That's where we meet, that's where the public comes, we make important decisions for our city. That's the best use of that beautiful chapel. And as we go over there and we take a look at it here in a few minutes, and the public's invited, right, Mayor?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
And we can go over there and we can take a look. You can see the difference between the beautiful historical chapel and, from about the curtains that go into the gym, that part we're not quite so sure about. So anyway, I think we need to be careful on the decision that we make, you know, to make sure we make the right decision that's going to be, you know, a decision that we can be glad that we made 30 years from now, you know. Can I tell you just a little story real quick, Mayor, if it's okay? So when Washington City was, Mayor Clove was the mayor, and they were thinking about building this building, right? Mayor Clove he was very smart, and he knew that we were going to need this building down the road, right? Because he knew our city was going to grow. And I was a school teacher at the time, young school teacher, probably 25 years old. One of Mayor Clove's kids was in my class. We were having a discussion about the possibility of building a new city hall, right? And because I taught history, you know, and geography and stuff like that, so it was an appropriate conversation. And I said something like, well, I'm not sure, you know, maybe, you know, I don't know if we need it or not. We can probably get a few more years out of the, you know, out of the old city hall. You guys remember the old city hall? It's like a split level, split entry, right? And so anyway, you know, we had that conversation, and anyway, that night, Mayor Clove called me up. I got a phone call, and he said, hey, I heard you've been, you know, discussing what's going on, and we had a wonderful conversation. He's such a wonderful man. And I said, yeah, you know, I'm not quite so sure, you know, if we need that yet in Washington. I was kind of young and short-sighted back then. And in his wisdom, he kind of taught me that, you know, this city's going to grow, and believe me, 10 years from now, we're going to be glad that we built it. And sure enough, those members of the council and Mayor Clove, they had a vision of what Washington was going to be like in the future, and I was dead wrong on that, right? We needed that building a few short years after we had that conversation, and I kind of think that we're in a little bit of a similar kind of situation now 30 years later, where it's kind of an important time where we're kind of at a crossroads, and we need to think about the future. You know, 30 years from now, I'll probably be up at the Washington Cemetery, right, having a rest. But my kids and grandkids will still be here. And I want to make sure that we make the right decision and that we are forward thinking like Mayor Clove was on this building and those good people that were on the council back then. And anyway, we're kind of in a needy situation because like Jeremy said, I mean, we're kind of busting at the seams here, you know, and anyway, thank you. Appreciate the conversations.
Can I add to his comments, Mayor? You know, the last several years, the reoccurring comments that I hear from our citizens, especially the downtown residents, was that they wanted their chapel preserved. And so as we've had discussions when all this started to take place, we all felt like to honor what our citizens want, that we needed to retain the chapel. I feel like that's the keystone to this project. And I'm very happy that we've had those discussions. That's led us to the commitment that we preserve the chapel, but yet we are wise to move forward because our plan, our good mayor's been involved in this for years, in having a walkable downtown that will benefit Veterans Park and benefit our residents that can have a gathering place and spend quality family time together and be able to buy treats, and actually Washington would actually have a downtown. And I like the committee's work because every photo I see, or every rendering, it shows elements of that, to have a walkable downtown where people can go to their city government and enjoy not only 4th of July's, but they can go and speak to the city leaders and the staff and feel comfortable in the buildings that they visit. So that's all.
Well said, council. Any further comment? If not, I think we'll continue this meeting over at the church building, at the meeting house.
Okay, thanks, Mayor.
I do. Yes, I do.
On with our meetings this evening. Still June 24th, 2026. We are in the council chambers at City Hall for our regular meeting. This is the meeting where the City Council votes and takes action items. Our meetings are streamed live and archived at washingtoncity.org/meetings. We'll begin our meeting with an invocation offered by Chaplain Kurt Sorwide of the Home Away Church. Chaplain Sorwide.
Well, good evening, everybody. It's such a blessing to be here. I thought before I prayed, I just feel good coming here. This is a peaceful place, and I know it's business and there can be other issues sometimes, but it's a blessing to be here. In many countries around the world, you can't do this. You would be locked up or who knows what. So we are blessed to be in this great country we're in. And I can't, and this is a big year too, 250. God has blessed us. And I was looking, in God we trust, deeds not words, good things, all of them. Okay, if we bow our heads, I'm ready to pray. Our Father, we come to you with humble hearts and thank you for all you give us. We thank you for our county, our country, our state, our county, and city. We pray tonight for this Washington City Council and Mayor Staley. We ask the Lord for your guidance and discernment and all that takes place here tonight. We ask for your wisdom, Lord, for all business that will come before the council tonight. We pray to the Lord for your intervention with all the fires surrounding us. We ask for protection for all the firefighters and emergency workers involved. We ask your grace with protecting homes, farms, animals, and families. We also pray for rain here into all of the western United States. Lord, we thank you for 250 years as a country. You have truly blessed us. We also come here and ask for a great, safe, and fun-filled Independence Day for all. We ask this in the name above all names, Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Chaplain. I've asked Councilman Coates to lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. So please rise. Council, you have the agenda before you. I'll call for a motion to approve as outlined.
So moved.
I have a motion by Councilman Henderson,
Second.
second by Councilman Ivy. All in favor?
Aye.
That is approved 4-0. I will make note that council member, future Commissioner Belliston, is out of town and is asked to be excused from the meeting tonight. And we offer him our congratulations, and we give our sincere thank you and appreciation to Commissioner Iverson for the 12 years of service that he continues to finish out. I think those are unofficial results. With announcements this evening, I appreciated the prayer. I had meetings with the Utah Local Governments Trust Board the last few days in Salt Lake City and drove back through the middle part of the state. And while there was a fair amount of smoke in the Utah County and in the Salt Lake Valley, the hardest hit by far was between Beaver and Parowan. And the thick smoke there that came from that fire in the Tushers in the Beaver area prompted me to reach out to Chief Evans. And so I've asked Chief to, as part of our announcements, give an update on fires, to give an update on the service that we're providing to our neighboring communities, to give an update on fireworks, the dates, times, places, and also an update on a new fire engine apparatus. So Chief, if you'll come up and share with the council and the public those particular items. I felt like this, given the climate, this was worthy of a beginning of the meeting update rather than wait till the end.
Thanks. Hopefully, David, it says on there. Maybe I'll just plug it in. Let's see what this does. Ah. So just a couple of quick updates. So this is actually a picture of our new engine. It's made its way to Utah finally. It was made in Wisconsin. We ordered this almost exactly 3 years ago. So it's got a few more repairs at the shop. We should see it actually either Friday, maybe Monday. Waiting on a few pieces, but it hopefully looks pretty familiar, pretty standard for our equipment.
Is it still under warranty for those repairs?
Yes, luckily. That's and it's funny because everyone asks, if we'll drive it back or we're going to ship it back, and we always ask them to drive it back because it's still theirs. And I don't think we've had one that's made it that they haven't had to do some repairs and driving at 1,000 miles.
There's actual repairs?
Repairs.
Oh, I thought I was like, do you mean upgrades? Because I'm like.
No, it's it's like everything in the world. They just don't make it the same. They charge us twice as much for it, but pretty standard. So a quick update on our crews. So yesterday afternoon, the state called everyone down here in the county. As we know, there's the Cottonwood fire is up in Beaver, and they asked for some structural protection and asked for agencies if they could send some trucks up for the initial response phase. They're still trying to stand up a team. They have a Type 5 team that took over this morning, but a lot of the resources are still on their way. And so we did send up a Type 1 engine. They got up there about 4 o'clock last night, and they sent them straight up the mountain. They got off the mountain this morning at 9 o'clock, and actually they're driving back up the mountain right now. They'll spend the night up there again. They're hoping that it'll sit down a little bit. Obviously, as you saw last night, as they got there, it was moving pretty quick, and over the course of last night, it went from just under 30,000 to, as we can see, it's probably pushing 65,000 acres now. So this Cottonwood fire at that size will put it already as the third largest fire in the state's history.
So how are they attacking it? Are they what is our crews doing? Are they just watching it?
No, so like our crews, what they're trying to do is, and the engines that went up were for structural protection. Unfortunately, and they haven't released a lot of that information, so they don't want any of that in the pictures and everything. But most of the structures that were up on that mountain are no longer there. It went through pretty quick. And so some of them, and there's some pictures of some of the work that they're doing. This is the 4 that went up, and like I said, they spent the night. This was them as they're pulling up into it last night. That pans around, and there's actually, you can see how far away that fire flame was. But yet there was spotting just down around the hill, all the way around them already. So it's jumping hundreds of yards at a time. But oops, wrong way. So this is the kind of work that really they're doing is trying to get up and clear some of that out to create some defensible space around structures that are still there. So they're not really engaged in trying to put the fire out. They're trying to save some of the structures that are still there, basically. And undoubtedly with all the work that's going on, I've been able to do some of that, including this one. So when you talk about fires, this is what it looks like in our part of the U.S. So if it's gray with the yellow, they're calling that fire. It's still burning, but it's 75% or more contained. If you look at most of those in Utah, they're definitely still burning. The size, and obviously we can especially feel the impact of the one that's just over here in Nevada as well. That tends to be sending quite a bit of smoke our direction. So of course, that's just the challenge. The fuels, they're beyond dry. I think our first significant wildland fire in Utah started the 1st of March, and it was up in the Salt Lake Valley. I don't know that that's happened to have a significant fire in the Salt Lake Valley in March. The whole state is really feeling what we kind of understand down here, which is there's really not a season. It's always dry and things will burn, and the state is having that problem. Which kind of shifts us to this next piece. This is the question that I know that you all get, and I know you all understand it because we review it every year. And I appreciate Thad sending this out again and posting this up because we get tons and tons of emails and questions about fireworks. So this is the Utah State Code. It's 537225, and as you can see, it basically says that municipalities can't ban fireworks. So this created a huge amount of confusion, and the state sent this out actually yesterday after the governor's comments about banning fireworks in the state and asking municipalities to do their part. Then, of course, all the municipalities called the state and, well, the governor's telling us to close fireworks. And like, nope, you can't do that. So, and of course, this is just a section out of it. This is the other section that talks about the dates and times. So essentially, yeah, you get 2 days before and 1 day after, the 4th and the 24th. On those 3 days, fireworks can go from 11 to 11. And then on the specific holiday, on the 4th and the 24th, they can set them off till midnight. And again, that's all state code. Unfortunately, the state, as we saw, is allowed to ban fireworks on state lands, but they don't allow us to do that. So we can do some restrictions, which we've had in place every year, which essentially closes off the outside of the city. So anywhere around the fringe of the city and down through the river area, like up through the Dam Road area, that kind of stuff, a lot of that is closed. But for the most part, if it's in town, if it's on an asphalt street, and it doesn't back any of that stuff up, then that's open. There are other philosophies around the state, and we do see some cities close it and then give them 1 or 2 spots to do it. But typically in those places, they have some really large areas that are relatively safe to do that. We've talked about it every year, and we're afraid it might create a bigger problem, especially not having somewhere to really do that. So with that, it's the standard safety stuff. Of course, really, our plea this year, and it was the same, I think, a couple of years ago when we did this, and we asked people to go and watch the professional shows, and instead of doing their personals. We know that does not happen in any way, shape, or form, but, and of course, even that professional show, it starts the hill on fire usually about every 2 or 3 years too. So, but that's just one place to try to take care of, which is a little bit more reasonable than the 15 or 20. So, yeah. Questions about any of that?
Thanks, Chief. Appreciate all you do.
Absolutely. We expect that crew to come back from Beaver. They're obviously they're going to work them tonight, and probably they said 1 more day, and then they'll kick those units out. Their resources that are on order will then take over all the wildland crews.
Do you know how that one got started?
they know it's human caused, but they haven't called it what it is, so.
Okay.
Yeah.
Chief, where can our residents find the map of where it is permissible and
The map and all this information is on our website. They can get it on the state's website too. If they search Utah fireworks, all this information comes up. Our map is incorporated into the state map. And of course, Dave and his team do a phenomenal job of putting all this information on the website. If they go there and start typing in fireworks, it'll
Pull
pop
right
up
up.
with all the information as far as it goes.
wonderful? Thank you.
Thanks.
Appreciate it. Other announcements, city offices will be closed on Friday, July 3rd in observance of Independence Day. And on July 4th, the Lions Club will be leading out once again on our celebration right here at Veterans Park. Are there any other announcements that I may have missed, Council, between this meeting and our next? Next item on the agenda is declarations of abstentions and conflicts. Any abstentions or anything to declare? Nothing noted. Next item is the consent agenda. It consists of the approval of minutes, consideration to approve the minutes from the City Council meeting of 6/10/25. I'll entertain a motion.
So made.
I have a motion to approve by Councilwoman Casperson. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilman Coates. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? That is approved unanimous on a vote of 4-0. Item 5 is a public hearing. I will note that the council did not receive any electronic public comment on the one item of public hearing we have tonight, which is 5A, public hearing and consideration to approve a resolution opening and amending the 2025-2026 fiscal year budget, of which we have about 6 more days. Brian, if you'll come and talk to the council about this, then I will open up the public hearing before calling for a vote.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. So this will be our only budget amendment of the year. Since we only have 6 days, anyone has to be done before June 30th. And let me bring this
Did you
up
mean of the fiscal year or the calendar year?
for fiscal year. So for fiscal year 2026,
Sometimes we've done them as much as quarterly, but this year we didn't have need for that. We were a little bit more on target, and we only have to do the one just to handle the little
I
cleanup.
have once again, I have a big spreadsheet that it goes and looks at a bunch of different variances and identifies anybody that may be over budget or looks at that. So with this budget amendment, the main items we're doing the budget amendment for are for public safety, police seizures, and some retirement obligations that we just can't plan for in the budget because I don't know who's going to retire and we don't know what seizure funds we'll receive. And the only funds this this amendment affects is the general fund. It's $640,000. The general fund, we're asking for a $600,000 amendment and a $40,000 amendment to storm drain. And that's, as you can see on the screen, there's a summary of all the budgets and what is being adjusted. Do you have any questions for me regarding this budget amendment?
Yeah, Brian, a couple of the things that jumped out at me when I looked at the list is just the 5 police cars. Like, did we really buy 5 police cars? And why did we not plan on that in the budget? Like, what happened?
So with seizure funds, you cannot budget those items.
You can't budget expenses for cars?
Brian, we explain where the funds came from, and then that'll make more sense to the councilman.
So the funds, when they do seizure, like the
Drugs,
they get a certain percentage of that. But the money they spend on cars on that, it can't be included in the budget.
So we got 255,000 from seizures, and then we have to use that money on police stuff.
Correct.
There's certain
certain items you can use it on. we have to be careful how we talk about it right here, but it's not meant to replace other funds that we already had currently budgeted. They don't allow us to. So we couldn't take that seizure money and use it for salaries. But I'm going to say this in the best way. If we buy 5 police cars with seizure funds, that means those are 5 police cars that maybe in a future year we won't have to budget for, so that it helps us get ahead. How about that?
So we got and is this a normal amount of seizure funds we get?
So they've only done it for about 2 years, where they've done this, participated in this program. And so the first year they received a little, and this year they received $255. So.
And it's never guaranteed. I understand that. It all depends on what happens. You know,
Correct.
I hope we get no seizure funds because no one's committing crimes, but I don't think that's going to happen. So okay,
It's one that I can't predict or have. Like sales tax, I can talk to you about sales tax all day because I understand that.
I don't want to talk to Brian about sales tax all day. So that was the thing that caught my eye, and I just didn't understand why we weren't planning vehicles, but that makes total sense. Thank you for the explanation.
And thank you, Chief, by the way, for patrolling. And I think it's worth noting that most these seizures are not happening on our local streets, but through an interstate that bifurcates our city. So appreciate your work, Chief.
I have a question, Mayor.
Councilman Ivey.
This last year, the community center had a flood when the roof was taken off, and there was a rainstorm, and it flooded, and it ruined the computers. We have $36,000 in expenses for replacement of those computers. Was those covered on an insurance policy, or is
Yes.
that out of pocket, or how is that reflected?
So we received revenue for those items. And so I have to budget, because the original expenses weren't budgeted, so we need to budget those expenses.
But yes, they were covered under insurance reimbursement.
So you've got to account for the revenue and the expense to offset.
We have to account for both of those.
Then the golf course clubhouse, that's lease revenue that's paid to the city from the group that is actually providing the food?
Yes. The snack bar
So
out
it's
there.
$6,000 a year to rent the space?
But why is it a negative?
Revenues in accounting are counted as a negative. I realized that I should have added them, changed that. That's just how it's.
Brian is 99.9, still total A, almost 100%. We're so lucky to have you. Council, any more questions on this, or are we ready to get a vote?
I have one more question, Mayor.
All right.
Just clarification. Talk to us about fund balance. That's savings from your account, right? Isn't that a savings, a dedicated savings account, or the balance
So
is
that
left
fund
after?
balance, how it works, the fund balance, it can be savings or use of fund balance under that account number. So in this case, if it's positive, we're using fund balance. If it's negative, then if it's positive, we're increasing fund balance. If it's negative, we're decreasing fund balance.
So is this, the funds that are indicated here, we have a savings in the city where we try to stay at a certain percentage of our general fund, like 25, 30, or whatever it is now, I don't remember exactly. Are these funds that are transferred from that account to this, or is that a separate account that's held in that amount that we have previously designated as?
So these are budget items. This is, the fund balance is used to create a balanced budget. But the fund balance, actual fund balance percentage you're talking about is done off actuals.
What, I'm sorry?
It's done off actual numbers, not budget.
And we maintained that we reserve in there a certain amount that the council has directed. I don't remember, it's 20%, 25, but it always stays in that amount. We don't take out from our regular fund balance for this, is that correct?
We try to, like you said, we try to maintain that at a certain percentage. I can calculate and I'll let you know.
Yeah, I just want to make sure that when we're talking fund balance, it doesn't dip into the percentage that the council has designated as our savings account.
As far as fund balance regarding the budget, it's all to balance the budget. So if I bring in $100 in revenue and only spend $40, I have to put in a negative fund balance to balance that account. But when you go actually calculate the fund balance, it's based off of actual numbers, what actually happened, not just the budget. So it should be pretty close as long as our budget is accurate.
Okay.
So the negative number is actually positive for the savings. that you're adding to it.
Yeah, generally on the fund balance, that's how it would work. So you kind of have to look if it's negative or positive, what's going on there.
Mayor, my only question for Brian is, does he celebrate New Year's Eve on June 30th or December 31st?
Both.
Both? Okay.
And then when the budget's done, you have to celebrate that too.
Okay.
Is one of those negative and one positive?
Yeah.
I don't know how much Brian celebrates at all, because in staff meeting, he said, it's the end of the fiscal year, but now we're starting into audit season. So he just goes right from one positive to the next positive.
It's just one cycle.
Hey,
Budget.
you know what? Well done on that budget. You do an excellent job, and I appreciate, we collectively as a legislative body appreciate you keeping our city manager in line and all the department heads in line on our budget.
Thank you.
Keep up the good work. At this time, I am going to open up the public hearing, and if anyone would like to come and speak to this item or has additional questions for Brian, now's your opportunity. Seeing no one coming forward, I'm going to close this public hearing, and I'll turn to the council for further discussion, further riveting discussion, and/or a motion.
Mayor, I'll make a motion, we approve the resolution amending the 2025-2026 fiscal year budget as outlined by Brian in the amount changing from $139,309,389 to $139,949,389.
You've heard the well-stated motion by Councilman Coates. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Casperson. This is a resolution, so we'll go roll call, beginning with Councilmember Henderson.
Aye.
Coates.
Aye.
Ivy.
Aye.
Casperson.
Aye.
That is approved unanimously 4-0. Don't get too comfortable, Brian. You're coming back up after this one, all right? Item 6A, this is consideration to approve an ordinance for zone change Z-26-12 to update the existing PUDR for a business located at approximately 3585 South Camino Real. The applicant is Sunrise Residential Treatment Facility. Community Development Director Eldon Gibb will present to you on this item, Council. Eldon.
Thank you, Mayor, Council. This is the site here on the corner of Camino Real and George Washington Boulevard. Put on the zoning overlay, you can see it's zone PUDR. And as we zoom in, you'll see this pad just on the top of the screen. This is the area we're concerning ourselves with tonight. The entire site is 3.63 acres, with the original approval taking place on March 23rd of 2016. The plan, when this was approved, was to replicate the housing building, which is this larger building here. It was just to flip that and build a duplicate building on that vacant pad there. Since this original approval, the plan has since changed, and the applicant is proposing a new building that will be used as a classroom administrative type setting in support of Sunrise Academy's existing buildings. And that is going right here on that proposed building location. It's approximately 66 feet by 108, set 10 foot off the property line. I would also like to note that the original condition of approval was stated that the occupants would not exceed 60, and with this future building being a classroom type setting, that should not be an option as well. Their state license currently allows up to 44 residents, and they currently have an occupant of, I believe yesterday's count was 14. On June 17th, 2026, the Planning Commission reviewed this request and unanimously recommended approval with the findings and conditions below, adding that the exterior material of the proposed building be improved to match the existing building. We can pull up those elevations here. And you can see this is what the Planning Commission were concerned with. Looks very similar to a modular type that you see at the elementary schools off to the side or in the back area there.
Can I ask a question, Eldon? Is that what it is? Is it just like, are they bringing in several portables and putting them together? And I mean, I looked at the plans in the packet, and it looks like they may be, it looked like a 10 portable unit, and they're using like 8 of them or 6 of them or something like that. Is that what that is? The X's are, that's
Correct.
probably the original plans from wherever the site is. And so they're just moving this from there to here and Xing out some of them.
You're exactly right. Yes, those red X's will not be included in this site, but yeah, just kind of a modular type on-site build.
So is this going to be permanent? Are they doing a permanent foundation, or is this just temporary until they follow through with their original plan, or what's the deal?
This would be a permanent structure, meet all building code requirements, foundation attachments.
Okay.
Does the exterior of the building, is it the way it's shown, or does it match the existing buildings there with the stucco tile?
What they're proposing tonight does not match the existing buildings, and that was the major concern for the planning commissioners. They recommended that this proposed building match the existing buildings, which do have stucco on them.
Were notices sent to the neighbors? What is the boundary on that, the distance, or?
We met state code requirements. The radius is a radius of 300 feet, and then a absolute minimum of 30 notices go out.
All right, thank you.
Further questions for Eldon?
I've got a question, Mayor. Are those brown boxes, is that the air conditioning on the sides?
Those are AC condenser
Okay.
units.
Do they have any plans to like put them on the roof or anything like that, or is they just gonna be on the side like that?
Great question for the applicant.
I wonder if they're mini splits where they're individual units.
Is that everything on your report, Eldon?
Yes, that concludes staff report. Thank you.
Any additional questions for staff?
Do you know the height? I was looking on the plan, but I could never find it, but I might have missed it. Just the overall height of these?
12 foot 4 inches from pad grade.
Pad grade, okay, thank
I
you.
believe the pad is up a little bit from the parking lot.
Okay. Is the applicant or the applicant's representative here? If you come forward now and state your name and anything you'd like to add to the staff report, and council may have some questions for you.
Name's Dan Cox, for the record. I don't necessarily have too much to add. We did take the recommendation from Planning and Zoning and spent some time with our group and have identified some options to be able to uplift the exterior. And so we feel confident that we'll be able to meet that recommendation. To the question regarding the HVAC, that is something that I can also address with our group to find out if there is a way to kind of move those. If not, then maybe there's an uplifting type of option that we can help to make that more presentable, yeah.
What are the options look like that you guys had discussed?
So mainly their side paneling patterned after stucco, so we can meet that type of aesthetics where it will appear as stucco, and that's the way that these particular buildings work. You could do a stucco skim, but they kind of advise against it, and so that's why they come up with this alternative option, which will allow for the same aesthetics, but they do it after a siding pattern, is kind of how they refer to it as.
So are these new modulars?
They're
or-
coming out of kind of northern Utah, being repurposed down this way. So they were, from my understanding, were used in a kind of school district setting. And so they fit our need really well because that's what we're looking for, is to use it exactly for an academic type setting for our clientele.
How many classrooms we have there? And
This building will provide 6 major classrooms for us, and then some administrative. There'll be 9, I guess you could say 9 rooms in total. 2 of those will be bathroom style spaces, and then 6, and then we'll have that 9th one for more of an administrative kind of academic staff space.
Was there any discussion about the roof line, whether it be gabled or if it's just kind of a gravity flow roof?
Planning and zoning, we didn't talk about that in our group discussions. We have talked about maybe different type of options to help kind of lift that roof line. But from the discussions that we've had with the city so far, no. Internally, yes.
And are these just strictly for the students who live on site, or?
Correct. Yeah, no community, outside enrollments. It would just be for our clientele that we're serving.
Do you have any of those options to present tonight that you get since the planning
I
commission?
did show Eldon kind of what it would look like. I don't know. Maybe this thing will work for me, huh?
Do you want to try to email it to Eldon and?
Yeah, I was gonna say, I believe my IT will shut down my attempt to screen share my.
It's a stucco panel that would go over this existing T111 siding, whatever it is. And the photos he showed me looks very similar to a stucco smooth finish with a little Adobe touch.
Yeah. Is there a way? Even pulling it off from my phone, my IT will shut down my ability to do that. So we're in healthcare, so it's a little rough that way. Let me forward it to you. Yeah, let's see if that will come through. Yeah. See if it'll pull up on your side.
He emailed those renderings over. I'm just waiting for them to show up on my email, and then I'd like to just show them here publicly what that will look like. This house is an example type that has used these stucco paneling.
They come in like 4x8 sheets or something, do you know?
They didn't give me that detail, but yeah, they're bigger. In the discussion, it sounded like they're bigger paneling to be able to cover a larger surface, yeah. 4x8 maybe.
I'm just gonna have to be honest with you, that building is not very sightly. You know, that's my only issue with it, is like it's a PUD, and we're usually kind of very, I don't know.
We have more say in it.
Yeah. And just being honest with you, you know, I know that it probably meets your needs a lot, but boy, those are unsightly. But I mean, I'm looking at the site plan, and I think it's mostly hidden from the street and out of view. And I like the idea that it's only, did you say 12.6? 12.4, which is nice.
It's kind of up on a pad though. There's a little bit of a pad there, and which I don't know.
Because your other buildings right in that area are really nice, you know, so, I don't know, I have a little bit of, I've got mixed feelings on it, just, yeah, that building's just hideous, just being honest, so. But I know it meets your needs, you know, for classrooms, so that's kind of where I don't know.
Eldon, just for my understanding, did you say when they first came in, it was approved with that sort of as an additional phase, but it was supposed to look just like the other buildings? Is that correct?
That is correct, yes. Where the residents sleep, the plan was just to duplicate that and bring more residents on site.
And if I can also speak to that question, internally, that's some of the discussion. I don't know if in the approval that we committed to that the building would be, you know, a carbon copy of it, but that, you know, as we looked at expansion, the site was always intended just to meet whatever operational needs that we had, whether that was extending bed space or to provide, you know, operational support buildings. So this is ultimately kind of where we've landed so far.
I certainly don't have a vote, but I think the thing the council's struggling with is it is in a residential setting, and so the original buildings look like they fit in a residential setting, and this looks a little more like it fits in a school classroom setting, so it's just, that's what they're struggling with.
Additional questions, council, comments for the applicant?
I think the stucco exterior, that would need to be conditioned if the council considered approving it. The roof line, I can see that would be very expensive and prohibitive to try to put a gable roof on it. The neighbors were noticed, and we have no comments to go by other than that we'd much rather it be like the other buildings there, of course, but we also are understanding that you provide a great service to our community and what you do there, and we're appreciative of that. And I'd mention it's probably in the right location on that site plan as well, off roads and stuff, but it would be a lot more palatable if it looked like your other ones, but also understand that you're trying to run a business and trying to grow, and things are difficult to do right now with very expensive projects, which that would be.
There was comments in the planning commission, comments of concerns about the same thing. It wasn't just planning commission, it was residents as well of that look during the planning commission meeting. So I'm with Councilman Henderson. I'm struggling with it as well, just because of the look, and it is, I mean, I'm assuming the residents that face it right there have 6-foot block walls, and that's a 12-foot tall building, so you'll see the top 6 feet wherever you're at. So.
Eldon, can you go to a street view? I know that might require going into a different. It's hard to
see it from the street view. I pulled up Google Earth. You can see it on.
Eldon, what's the zoning to the east of this? I know it's in the paperwork, but if you've got it right there.
It's also PUDR. Just about 9 months ago, there was 13 smaller lots that were approved there.
That's right.
Single family residential.
– Thanks,
Eldon,
Dan.
when was it approved to do a mirrored building on that part of the lot? Was that, what, 2-3 years ago, or?
That was with the original approval, March 23rd, 2016, Z-16-04.
So it's been about 10 years.
What's the setback from the neighbor's wall? Do we know that?
It would be a minimum of 10 foot.
What is this at? It looks wider than 10, that's why I'm asking.
It is much wider. I think Estimate-wise, you come off the block wall about 10, you hit the storm drain, which is about 4, and then by the time you hit the pad where it will be is about 7. So I think in total, you're closer to just under 20.
Dan, if this weren't approved, is there a plan B?
There isn't, just a little bit to what Councilmember Ivy had talked about, a lot of the options that we looked at for this particular project become too cost prohibitive to be able to take on. Currently, our clients have been for many years taken all the way into the city of La Verkin for their academic services. So from an operational standpoint, it's become a little bit burdensome for that as well, and increased kind of safety considerations that we've
So this
looked
would
at.
allow your students there, those that are in the program,
Yep.
to be able to have on-site education without
Yeah. And
without transportation?
Correct, and we're a fully accredited school and accredited by the Utah Board of Education and endorsed by other states like California and different things. So we've had a really great academic program, but the intent is to to make sure that we consolidate those resources and those operations there to give a better outcome for them.
So on that north side, where you have the residential neighbors to the north,
Mm-hmm.
do you have any plans to mitigate that side, the long side of that building, like with trees or shrubbery or plant or anything like that at all that would help maybe buffer that if those
Yeah, that line
residents
right
that live there would, you know?
Yeah, I mean, in our original landscaping plan, we didn't put a lot of that there, but we wouldn't be opposed at all. We have some trees that line that fence line between our properties, but we could carry that same look across, probably with a different tree that's more favorable to the aesthetics, but we wouldn't be opposed to any of those options as well.
That would be helpful to do that and then make some changes to the exterior, because to go a different direction, I'm sure there's, like you were just mentioning, the cost of it. So if you could try to, I like that thought of making it so there's some additional, barriers that are pretty to enhance the area.
That would be.
Paul, I know you're thinking you're not in on this item, but can you come up for just a minute? The trees along that trail section by the Harmon piece, those kind of tall, skinny.
There's some options. Italian cypresses are commonly known, or skyrocket
Italian
junipers
cypress.
are very narrow and can be planted in a row that grow very tall, can grow in a small space.
So that's a potential option along that north
Yeah.
wall to hide the aesthetic and give some.
Mayor, do you think some of the residents who showed up today could have an opportunity to speak? Because we did hear from some last week, and I don't know if the people who are here tonight would want to or not. But
Yeah, I did interact with a couple. How many, by raise of hands, I know you two are here. Anyone else here for this item tonight? So I did interact with this couple. I wish I could remember your names, so when you come forward, please state your name. But if you could just share any additional items that wasn't already shared at the Plan Commission meeting. And then, 2 to 3 minutes would be max. And if you also state your name and just maybe tell us where you live.
We are, Eldon and Debbie Copia, we are the house.
Lot number 4.
I can't see that one, yeah. So it's our backyard.
It is definitely our backyard.
Right there, okay.
She has a picture of how
This
high
is the elevation of the,
From the parking lot, already the pad, okay.
It's about
Yeah.
4 to 5 feet, so that's going to be in addition to the height of the building as well. We did like the idea of the trees, that sounds good. I have an HVAC background. Those units that are on the side of that are extremely noisy, and the older they get, the louder they get.
so.
Eldon, would you mind just saying that again a little louder into the mic?
Okay, so I have an HVAC background, and those units, those AC units that are mounted on the side of that unit are extremely noisy. And once they start to get older and older, the compressors start to, bad noises, they whine a lot. So we're gonna be sitting there in the morning trying to enjoy the peace and quiet and listening to that, so.
Otherwise, you guys addressed all our
Yeah.
concerns about other than the height, we feel like it's gonna, when they're already starting at 4 to 5 feet, then it's gonna be higher. The trees, we thought,
That was great.
we've already looked into planting
Our own.
5 more trees across our backyard.
I think other than
So
that-
can I ask you guys a question? So I think we're trying to find a happy medium between some of this, because we understand their needs, we understand
Sure.
your concerns.
Running a business.
And that's where I'm struggling is what is that happy medium for someone who is impacted as much as you are for your group?
To be honest with you, we would prefer they stuck with the original, but
We also understand.
yeah, they're
business.
trying to run a business. We don't complain. We just,
But this is our backyard.
Yeah.
This is what we're gonna look at every day and
So-
hear every day.
So did you come tonight to oppose it or to offer some mitigation to move the
If they
project
can-
forward?
The trees, if they can do the outside, if they could lower it, if they could drop it to the ground on a flat versus the 4 to 5 feet that they're already gonna be in the air, that's gonna make it,
it's probably pretty expensive, but
again, yeah. They've got a perfect pad back there if they could just, but it's too high. It's gonna be very, and we're concerned about, I feel like you could actually see it from the street. It's that high. So it just seems like it's, but if they could easily, do something to lower it, the trees, and do something to the exterior, but again, and the AC, those units.
So the stucco panels would make it so it wasn't a metallic reflection, which would help
Better.
with yeah, okay.
Eldon, could you throw up the elevations again on there?
You have both Eldons looking right now.
yeah,
Oh, well, we're gonna go Eldon 1, Eldon 2.
they're spelled the same too.
Yeah, okay. Let's see. Do both sides look just like that, or just the one side? Oh, they both do. I was gonna say, maybe we could ask to have all the air conditioners put on the schools, the side that's not facing these guys, but,
Yeah, at that, how high they up there, that's gonna be completely above our wall, so that seems gonna be, they're screaming at us. We took a little ride out in Hurricane to look at those, and I've dealt with those in the past. I did some maintenance on Park City School Districts and had to work on those things, and I don't know, those buildings are a maintenance nightmare. He may wanna reconsider that, but that's just my opinion.
so I'm kind of in agreement with Councilman Coates. I think we kind of need to find some kind of
Thank you,
middle
guys.
ground
Thank
on
you.
this, thank you. I mean, this business does great work, and I can see how, this is gonna really, help them to have their clients not have to, go clear across the county to school. But then also, this is tough.
Sorry.
No, go ahead.
Thinking on the condenser units, I mean, can they put the condenser units on the ground? Like, do they have to be on the side of the wall? Like, I don't know, because I'm not in this business to understand portable school buildings, but if we could.
I'm wondering if those are mini splits, Councilman, if they're mini splits for each unit where they're individual.
Different things, that's one thing I would say is, I mean, I think we can work on the stucco and the trees, which will help mitigate it, and I agree, the pad seems artificially high, and that is my business, because I'm in civil engineering, but I just don't, I haven't spent enough time evaluating it besides the packet, and so I'm just trying to understand if it does make sense to lower the pad versus and it might not, depending on all your other things that are going on, but what happens with those air conditioning, if we can get just a single 1 or 2 condenser units down below that's not on it, but what's your experience there?
I will definitely, yeah, I'll spend some time with the group to ask the options. I do agree that with Councilmember Ivy, I think they're feeding both of, there's 9 units in total. You see 4 on this side. One of them's maybe helping in the bathroom area, but they're taking care of each of those spots. And so if it means that we need to consider maybe some different ducting work that would allow us to either reconsolidate them over onto one side or consider getting them to the ground, like we don't mind looking at options like that. We also would love to take care of the trees and look at options in that way. I think those are all reasonable, and working with the stucco paneling as well. So we're not opposed to doing some work and having some conditions to let us use this particular building.
So you think you could have those answers to us in the next 2 weeks? Should we table this while we get these answers to make everyone work better? That's kind of where I'm leaning, is to table.
I mean, the HVAC, for consideration on the HVAC, I mean, the trees would be easy to conditional, the siding would be easy to conditional. I think if we could move just for timeline, you know, we've moved away from our lease in Laverne, and we've got these guys that are working through this project. I could work with that if I had to, but I would love to just be able to.
I'm just trying to get comfortable with it because it was approved as a PCD with mimicking the style of the building, even though it might not have been that look, it would be structurally built the same. So I'm trying to get on board, trying to find a middle ground. I think we need some more answers of what can we do with the HVAC units? Can we lower the pad? What kind of tree protection can we do to help mitigate some of these items that are going to affect these residents? Because we are moving, because it wasn't, if this was straight zone, I'd be, well, straight zone, but this is a PCD that was approved this way. We're trying to find a variance in it to help you. I think we gotta have these answers, is kind of where I'm landing.
I think Councilman Coates makes a good point, because if we condition those tonight and we say, okay, you're gonna plant trees, you're gonna put the stucco on, you're gonna lower the pads and get the air conditionings on the ground, you might find that cost prohibitive. And then you're locked into an agreement that would maybe cause you to have to start over in the process. So I know that it's inconvenient to think about it, but I'm very sympathetic to the work that you do there. I appreciate our good residents that came here very calm, and they presented in a very professional way. And I think we can find the middle ground and make it work. But I just caution you to make decisions tonight that you don't know the price or costs of.
Yeah, the lowering of the pad and the HVAC are the things that I don't see being the options, right? Currently, if you looked at the site plan, that ground runs level with the current property. So from that existing building all the way over, that's a perfect line. It doesn't change elevation, it doesn't rise. And so to make that particular pad drop, I don't see that being what will end up, working for the project. And I would assume these HVAC units are going to be pretty stubborn. So to me, for sure, the exterior stucco and the trees are easy conditions to be able to meet, to give the relief to the residents and to provide some aesthetic improvements.
Well said. Thank you, Dan. We appreciate you too. You see a lot of wisdom with this council. These are the tough decisions. Council, I'm sensing a little bit of a direction here. Further discussion on this item and or a motion?
I think that if you were to take 2 weeks and come back with some costs, I'm leaning towards, I usually don't like to table, but I'm leaning towards that because I think that there's some questions that need to be answered, not only to protect us, but maybe protect the applicant and the homeowners or the residents there. But if there's other suggestions, I'm open to them. I just would hate to make motions on things that would be cost prohibitive in the end. So.
Good comments.
Oh, it would be nice if the air conditioning units were, like if the building was rotated so it was going towards their parking lot and the other facilities. But then you'd probably have to adjust the size and everything on that. That would be, I don't know if that is an option to make it a little bit smaller. And I don't know. I like the idea of coming back in 2 weeks with more of these answers figured out.
You know, Dan, I know with this council too, it would be helpful to, if the council chooses to table to bring it back and maybe show a little bit of a site plan and show how each of those 4 items you're looking at addressing them. And really, 2 weeks is not a long time. It's July 8th, so we'll be here before you know it. Council on this side, has any additional comments to make or a motion that someone's ready to take a stab at?
I'd just like to say I agree with what's been said. I think we maybe need a little more information. I mean, you may want to check, like, even on the age of the units that are on, you know, I don't know how old these buildings are, but they might be ready for a change anyway, you know. And you could talk to a HVAC guy and say, you know, maybe you can move them all to the other side of the building or something like that. We'd really be happy with that, you know, but check into the elevation. I mean, I agree, if it's not doable, it's not doable. So, but my main thing is, you know, see what you can do about the HVAC units. And it'd be nice if the neighbors just were looking, you know, if they have to look at something, it'd be nice if they were looking at something that was as sightly as possible. And to me, that would be get rid of those units on the other side or up on the roof or something like that. So at least they don't have to hear those units and look at them. And then, you know, plant some trees and stuff. But, you know, check into it, see what you can bring back to us. So, but you guys do good work over there. We want to work with you, but we also, you know, we have to balance the interests of, you know, everybody. So thanks.
All right, council, time for motion.
I'll make a motion that we table item 6A, zone change Z-26S12, until July 8th with some additional data provided that we talked about. Do I need to list those, Mayor? Or
Have you got those, the 4 items?
That's my motion, Mayor.
You've heard the motion by Councilman Coates. Is there a second?
Second, Mayor.
This is an ordinance, so we'll go roll call, beginning with Councilmember Coates.
Aye.
Ivy, Casperson.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
This item's been tabled to July 8th on a vote of 4-0. Thank you, Dan. Thank you, neighbors. Next item, we've got some resolutions to work for. Item 7A, this is consideration to approve a resolution accepting the fiscal year 2025-2026 fraud risk assessment. If once is good, twice is better. Finance Director Brian Brown.
So in 2020, the state auditor developed the fraud risk assessment, and here is basically what it exists of, is these questions. And this was all developed by the state to help reduce fraud. So our score, once again, is just the same as last year. It's 355, which is right on that very low range. And as you can see, these are the items that we score on. It's heavily loaded towards separation of duties, making sure you separate the duties. But like I said, we received the same score. We were very close to not, because I had to do my item number 6, 480 hours of training. I realized in June I had 5 more hours, but I was able to get those, so we have the same score as last year. Do you have any questions regarding the fraud? And this is what we will submit to the state, is this report right here. Do you have any questions regarding the fraud risk assessment?
Question 3, who has the designations and what designation and what is it?
So that's asking if you have a CPA, CPF, and
Yeah, who has the designation? Because I don't think we got those points last year.
no, and we didn't this year.
Oh, that's a 0 this year?
Yeah.
And the next one's going to be an easy one to get points on.
All right, 200 still very high. Good job.
Yeah.
So Mayor, maybe I'd recommend on number 4 that we implement a an annual commitment in writing to abide by a statement of ethical behavior by our employees and elected officials. That seems like something that we should be doing anyway.
I think you've brought that up before.
I have.
Yeah, talk to your peers about that. I have no problem with that. We've got a pretty ethical group already.
I think make a comment on it. I think we do fine.
If you agree.
I think you've heard my comment before, probably 5 times. The only problem I have with it is they want a written signed statement from every employee, part-time, volunteers, full-time, council members. I think we could certainly do it with all part-time, all full-time and city council, but it's a ton of work every year to make all of our 500 employees try to sign a piece of paper that says they won't commit fraud. And I struggle to figure out how that makes them less likely to commit fraud. But we certainly can do whatever you'd like us to do. It's a lot of work to get 20 extra points.
I think
It's a state agency.
I think our resources would be better allocated doing other city business and signing more paperwork for the government.
I just like that score a little higher, 355, it comes
So
back
the other thing we
who's
could,
winning here?
what we could do is, I don't have my CPA, but you can contract.
Would you just go ahead and get your CPA license? I hear it's really easy.
Check back next month.
It's just a test in some school.
Like,
Get it done.
how many tests?
It
A
seems
few.
easier than signing the paper.
I have all the other requirements in the state of Utah. You have to have your master's in hours, but I just haven't taken the test. But we can contract with us. We couldn't do our auditors, but we can contract somebody that we could refer and ask questions, and they would have to have their CPA or
See,
something.
Councilman Ivey wants to maximize the score. I just want to pass. Are we passing the fraud assessment?
Anything below is considered low. 355 is, no, 355 would be.
And I don't want to spend any more money on anything that doesn't make sense.
All right, so we're good. Who's going to make the motion on this one?
I can tell you right now, the biggest thing with the fraud risk is the top one is separation of duties.
Separation of duties.
As long as we're making sure
The
that
dual control.
that is what's going to stop any fraud in the city, as long as we're on top of that, maintaining that. The new scary one that is scary, and we have had to make changes, is cybersecurity. We had to move from people emailing, I want to change my checking and account number by email, to actually bringing it in actual, because you just can't trust the internet now.
I hear you.
Well, I'll make a motion
Thank you.
to approve a resolution accepting the fiscal year 2025-2026 fraud risk assessment.
I have a motion by Councilman Casperson. Councilman Ivey, would you like to second that motion?
I would be pleased to second that motion.
We have a motion by Councilwoman Casperson, second by Councilman Ivey. It's a resolution, so we'll go roll call, beginning with Councilmember Ivey.
Aye.
Casperson.
Aye.
Henderson.
Aye.
Coates.
Aye.
That is approved 4-0. Item 7B, this is consideration to approve a resolution setting the property tax levy for Washington City calendar year 2026. City Manager Jeremy Redd.
Thank you, Mayor. If everybody liked that last discussion, you'll love this discussion. And I know all of you have heard it at least 5 times now. So we're going to talk really quick about property tax. Very exciting. I think everybody understands how the certified tax rate works in the state of Utah, meaning we have an ad valorem property tax. As property values go up, and that's usually by reassessment of your property values, the rate goes down. If values go down, the rate goes up. Changes every year, and the county gives us a new number for certified tax rate every year, and we take that number. Again, we take the same budgeted revenue divided by the current year's taxable property values, and that gives us our rate. So the certified tax rate for 2026, 0.000760. Just really quick, that takes the base revenue of $5.3 million, but that includes $383,000 worth of new growth. So we added, I think it's kind of interesting, $504 million worth of new property taxable properties to our rolls in the current year. So a lot of what we do here, when we're approving new developments, we're approving commercial businesses, end up coming through to this side. So our property tax revenue for next year will be $5,329,135. As a quick side note, this council has put a
Resolution.
sales tax proposition on the ballot, that if it's passed, we would take this number and cut that in half as far as our collections. So that's interesting. That would be on next year's taxes, because this is the amount that will get used for this year's taxes. One other thing to mention, and I don't have a separate presentation for it, but at the bottom here, the Coral Canyon Special Service District, the rate will go from 0.001021 to 0.000137. So it's an 85% reduction, because this is the final year. So we only need 15% of what we have collected in the past. So a big benefit for our Coral Canyon residents. And then next year that will go away and they will have no additional property tax. Just to bring this up again, what is my property tax fund? If you have a $550,000 home, if you're living in that home, you pay 55% of the taxable value. If it's commercial or a second home, you pay 100%. But you can see here the county would collect $159, the school district $1,500, a little over $1,500, the Water Conservancy District $125, Washington City $230, and the Mosquito Abatement District $6.66. So of the $2,000 that you would pay if you lived in your home and you had a value of $550,000, only $230 of that goes to Washington City. Coral Canyon this year, or last year, was $346. So you can see their assessment was a lot more. It's gone down 85%. I didn't actually put that new number on here of what it would be, but you can see it's quite a burden for them.
Tell us that again. What would it have been, and what will it be?
It would have been $346. I didn't do the math. What's 15% of that? Approximately 200, or let's see, 20. Let's see. Sorry, I tried to do that fast.
About $50, 45, 47.
$51, $52. So theirs will go from $346 down to $52, and then next year it'll go away. So
cool.
I think we're making good progress. We're heading in the right direction there, and I'm hopeful we continue to head in the right direction if we can add the sales tax. That will help out too.
When's the last time anybody in here got bit by a mosquito? That's the best $6.66.
Hold on a second.
I don't believe it.
You're in St. George then.
Come on up after the meeting, and Councilman Henderson will give you your $10.
He sits on that board over there.
I was just wondering where all that money's going. Apparently nowhere. They're just
one bite.
They go to the calendars that we get every year that we're like, we're in 2026. Why are we getting paper calendars still?
So that's my presentation. Unless you have
Any
any
questions that don't have to do with the Mosquito Abatement District? Seeing none, council, I'll call for a motion first on setting the property tax levy for Washington City calendar year 2026 at 0.000760.
So made, Mayor.
Have a motion by Councilman Coates, second by Councilman Henderson. Another resolution. We'll begin with Council Member Casperson, Henderson, Coates, Ivy. That is approved 4-0. Item 7C, consideration to approve a resolution setting the property tax levy for Washington City Special Service District in Coral Canyon for the calendar year 2026. You've heard City Manager Jeremy Rudd explain that to be 0.000137. I'll call for a motion to approve.
Mayor, I'll make that motion.
Have a motion by Councilman Coates.
Second.
Second by Councilman Henderson. We'll go roll call, beginning with Council Member Casperson. Ivy?
Aye.
Coates?
Aye.
Henderson?
Aye.
That is approved 4-0. Last resolution, this is consideration to approve a resolution authorizing the transfer of property interest for the George Washington Boulevard Interchange Project. That's on to SR7. City Engineer Paul Mogul will present. Paul, I've signed the documents, so I'm shredding them if the council votes no.
Perfect. That sounds great. Thanks, Mayor. Thanks, City Council. So when we purchased property for this interchange, we purchased it with COG funds, which is I can't remember exactly.
Council of Governments.
Council of Governments. And so the property now we want to deed it over to UDOT. It's in UDOT's right of way, and so this is just the formalities of going through that process. So if you have any questions or anything, I'm here to answer any.
If you have any easy questions, please address them to City Engineer Paul Mogul. The hard ones sent to Councilman Ivy, who sits on the Dixie MPO and COG board there. Council.
I'm ready for a motion.
I'll make a motion to approve a resolution authorizing the transfer of property interest for the George Washington Boulevard interchange project.
You've heard the motion by Councilman Ivy. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Councilwoman Casperson. Roll call beginning with Councilmember Ivy.
Aye.
Coates. Henderson.
Aye.
Casperson. That is approved 4-0. Next item on the agenda, report. Thad, you had something on this. We got out ahead of you a little bit.
No, you're right on schedule. I just wanted to say that this resolution has been requested from UDOT. And so it's essentially a record of the council's authorization of about 6 or 7 deeds that'll transact for all the various little pieces of parcel. So it's just making sure that we give UDOT the records they want for the finality of the project.
Final note is there's no fiscal impact to the city on this either.
That is correct. These are parcels that Public Works acquired as part of the city's contribution to the project in the front end, and it's just the paperwork's now following to finalize that contribution.
And we don't want the liability. Let UDOT have it.
Yeah. All very good reasons. Next item, report of officers from assigned committees with Councilman Belliston in Alaska. You're the leadoff batter, Councilman Henderson.
Mayor, I don't have anything tonight. Thank you.
Councilman Coates.
It's going to talk about mosquitoes tonight, Mayor.
Has anyone, I'm just teasing.
No, I'm not. I don't have anything. I haven't had any board meetings really since last meeting, so.
Councilman Ivy.
We had an MPO meeting, but nothing to report, but I would like to talk with the council about something else, if that's okay.
Go
Mayor.
ahead.
I had a really good meeting about a week ago with some of our community center aquatic staff. I know some of you have received these calls as well as myself, and some of our residents were concerned about some of the open swim hours that, and I met with them, and I just was so impressed with our staff's desire to serve and to be fiscally responsible and to provide good service to our community. And that's the resounding message. What I would just ask is that before we set a calendar for next year, that we talk a little bit about our scheduling. Right now, our residents can open swim from 1 to 7 o'clock. And certain citizens feel like that's too late in the afternoon, that it doesn't fall in line with their scheduling. But staff would tell you that they have swim lessons, they have what they call water walkers that use the pool. And it's just my suggestion that maybe we can just massage the calendar a little bit and get an earlier open swim time, and then be able to still stay true to our fiscal responsibility for the community center to make money, and just appreciate them, their willingness. But that's all, council. I just would like that start time to be closer, like 10 or 11 o'clock in the morning rather than 1 in the afternoon. That's kind of what I boil it down to.
Thank you, Councilman Ivy, and I know the community center works really hard to staff those hours and with the limitations and restrictions they have. Thank you, Councilman Ivy. Yep. Councilwoman Casperson. I am going to pull a trick that I learned from Councilwoman Casperson and invite Jordan to come forward and give my report on some of the things that we've got scheduled for America 250. Do you want the flyer back? Sure. Eldon 1.
We've been, over the past year or so, celebrating America's 250th birthday. We kicked it off last year with the dedication of our George Washington Plaza. That was our city's biggest contribution to celebrating our country's birthday. As part of our 24th of July celebration that we hold every year in Washington City, we will be incorporating some activities surrounding America 250 on that day. So we'll start that morning with the usual parade on Telegraph Street at 8 a.m. At 9 a.m. we will have the Donut for Get Your Freedoms, so free donuts for anyone dressed in red, white, and blue. From 9 to 12, we'll have the usual games, foot races, and activities in Veterans Park. From 10 to 11, a reading of the Declaration of Independence and patriotic musical and other performances in Heritage Hall. At 11 a.m., popsicles for patriots, so free popsicles for anyone in red, white, and blue. And then we'll cap off the day with our usual fireworks at the community center at 10 p.m. So we'll have a good day of celebrating not only Utah history with the 24th of July, but also a focus and emphasis on America's 250th. And so we will start advertising this tomorrow to give our residents a full month's heads up on these events.
Fantastic. Thank you, Jordan. It's exciting. Well, I can't top that, so I think that's all I have for tonight, too. City manager report, Jeremy.
Well, I have something to report that all of you are well aware of, but I think we need to report it publicly. I just want to publicly congratulate Paul Walker, who's our new Parks Director, and Cole Staley, our new Recreation Director. Congratulations to both of them. We decided to split those two departments, leisure services, into two departments, parks and recreation, the size of the city and the way we've grown, and the massive projects that both of those departments take care of, and the facilities. So we're really happy. Both of them have jumped right into their new roles, and they're doing a great job. But we're really, really proud to have excellent leadership that's already in our departments that just can hit the ground running when we have changes. So congratulations to Paul and Cole. That's all I have, Mayor.
I get to work with both of them, and they're awesome. Way better than the mosquito committee.
I would second that.
The mosquito committee.
Blake, will you just, as a continuation of the city manager report, I'd like you to come forward and just give us an update on Merrill Road. And then also if you could talk about the traffic signals on Hayfield and Brio and just kind of the status and update on those.
Okay.
Merrill Road with Hayfield and then Brio on Buena Vista.
All right. So Merrill Road is open. It's completed. 20 East is now closed completely. So we did a swap there. And the traffic signal at Harvest Lane, they're putting in the posts and bollards for now, and the conduit's already been put in prior to the asphalt. And we're still waiting on the steel. We're just waiting for confirmation on when that's going to come. We ordered it about a month and a half ago. So we're hoping that that will be in time. If it's not, we do have some options with a vendor here. We can probably get the steel put in if we need to, but it might be black. So it'll just be different than our normal signals.
But we're talking in time for the school year there at Riverside.
But we'll know more as we go along. That usually we don't get notification about the steel till about a month before or so.
Okay.
And then you're
Brio.
saying Brio. That is, we just had a pre-bid meeting this week, so it's going out to bid, and then that will probably start. We'll probably have bids back in about 3 weeks, and go from there. So that won't be too much of an issue that way. We should have this. We've already ordered the steel on that as well. And then you said Hayfield, that one?
I think the Hayfield's off Merrill, isn't it? Is it Hayfield or is it?
No, Hayfield's down on
Harvest Lane, not Hayfield, Harvest.
Yeah, Harvest is the one I was talking
yeah,
about.
I meant to say Harvest instead Hayfield.
Yeah. Harvest is what at the
Of course,
school.
there used to be lots of Hayfields
and
near Harvest Lane.
Yeah, that's true. There still is some.
Few.
So yeah, that one we're going as fast as we can on, and they're doing the construction right now. So
great. Thanks, Blake.
You bet.
Question for Blake?
I was gonna say that Jeremy didn't report on the Henderson v. Red showdown at Green Springs on Saturday.
I thought maybe you'd report.
The Reds took charge the last 2 holes and put us down, so.
The Mick Hendersons?
Yep.
But
I was in my kilt and everything, and it didn't help.
I will tell you, Councilman Henderson is a great golfer, and he's going to be working all year for the rematch next year. So, right?
He's probably going to call it a grudge match. One last thing. What? I think some of you lost some money on this bet, didn't you?
Now, wait a second. Who bet against me now?
I think everybody.
I didn't bet against him. I golf with Jeremy.
You know what? We need to keep him more busy so he doesn't have time to golf. We got your back for next year, Councilman. Paul, just real quick, an update on the Mill Creek Trail, where it's going, what the timeline is. It's a really cool project.
Yeah, thank you, Mayor. We're really excited for the Mill Creek project. It's going to connect the existing trail at Nison's Park and head north under I-15 and connect into the Boilers and Main Street, some of the other parks. We've got the easements all straightened out. We're getting the engineering done. We worked with Public Works to make sure they had access to the sewer system that's down there along Mill Creek. So we're hoping to get the engineering done in the next month or so and have it go out to bid later this summer. So we're really excited for that project to come along.
And that'll connect the Boilers.
Connect the Boilers, connect Nison's, connect the trails in Brio and along Main Street, and down south of 200 South, kind of down into that part of town as well.
Yeah. Awesome. Good job. Keep up good work.
Thanks.
Hey, excellent report, City Manager. We do not have need to go to closed session, so I will call for a motion to adjourn. I have a motion by Councilwoman Casperson.
Second.
Second by Councilman Henderson. All in favor?
Aye.
That is a unanimous vote. We are officially adjourned. Thank you, everyone.